Okay, we're probably going to have to go to part 3, okay? Sorry about this, it's very long. Alright. Alright, two things. Second last thing is social inclusion. Social inclusion is like a theory. It's been implemented top down. What we're doing is the kids that are causing major disruptions, learning difficulties, you create special schools for these kids. Okay. But what they've done with social inclusion is you bring them back in. You don't want to exclude people, you want to keep them back in. However, with discipline problems, it means that a kid gets chucked out of a class, causes too much disruption, the teacher can't manage it, gets chucked out, sent out, so on and so forth, goes up through the system, speaks to the head of the department, and I've been in schools where kids have been gone right up to the system, right up to the top of the head, maybe been excluded a couple of times, but not excluded permanently. And then they're back into class. They've been through the system, and these kids know. They've been through the system, and nobody can do anything about it. That's crazy. It's crazy. So social inclusion is a great idea, but you actually have to have a socially inclusive solution. That is, when a kid enters into the room, there is a group that's going to take care of them that feels, do you see, that there is a social inclusion, really socially, amongst the peers, the kids. It's not social inclusion in terms of putting them in the same room. Adults have put them in the same room. Do you see? It's social inclusion because there are people actually embracing each other. You need all this. Do you see? And so therefore, this kind of idea works really well. And finally, okay, I've had this system running for quite a while, and I've been developing it for years now. Okay, and it's not alone. It's just stuff I learned at PGC, and I've just implemented, and other stuff that I've kind of learned along the way, and I've just kind of combined it. That's what I do. The trouble is that how do you implement it as a whole school? Because that's what you need to do. Because I see these kids, they come in, trying to do these things, they go away, 2 or 3 days later I see them again, and it's back to square one. Because not many other teachers are trying to encourage self-discipline. So, implementation. Now what most systems is top-down, which means that somebody's got some ideas, they write some kind of book, or they go into the executive, and they have these ideas, and then they try, and they're very good ideas, but there's council, and they all try to organise a committee, and eventually it's introduced in the school, and the school's got this initiative, and then the teachers have to do this, and the teachers object because they've already got a tough job, and they've got this thing to put into place, and the implementation is top-down, or it's experts coming in, and it doesn't really work, okay, and the kind of teachers resent it. So this kind of, how do you implement this kind of system? Well, you get the kids to do it first. The kids enlighten the teachers. The kids teach the teachers how to teach the way the kids would like to be taught. How does that happen? Well, you have a classroom coordinator. It's a kind of job title, sorry, let's just check. Whoa, okay, we've got about 2 minutes to describe this. A classroom coordinator is somebody who, there's a big shift between primary and secondary school. What happens in primary school is that the kids come in, and they're used to the same teacher for a year, they're used to each other for like the last 7 years mostly. They're used to being in the same room. Suddenly they're in second year, they don't know the other kids, they're suddenly stuck in the room with all these other kids, and then they move from room to room, and then they've got all these different teachers. Because of that, it's great, lots of flexibility, lots of variety, it's fantastic. But the downside of that is it's very fractured, okay? Which means that if they manage to find a few friends, groups, that's fantastic, they kind of cling on to them. If there are kids that are object to certain things that are going on, they will group together as well, whether in class or outside of classes, between classes, and they become the bad kids, okay, or then you get swabs and so on. So what you want to do is you want to manage that with all this kind of social, stuff, 1 to 5, group efficient fusion, self-disciplining, so on and so forth, so that you are assisting the formation of social groups, friends, people that are different but they work well together, complementarity, and that experience on a regular basis, lesson to lesson. How can you maintain that? You have one teacher that goes with them from class to class. They're called the classroom coordinator. And what they're doing is they're assisting the group, the class, to work well together and interact with the teacher well. So they're assisting the class with techniques. They're the facilitator. They've tried to introduce this, teacher as facilitator, but a teacher can't be a warden and a facilitator at the same time. They've got to be the warden and educator. I can just about get that. Educator, facilitator. That's the other role. You can't have facilitator, warden. It doesn't quite work. They're two kind of extreme things. And so this classroom coordinator just kind of assists the class to be able to interact well and do the best that it can. So that, for example, if the classroom coordinator goes through all the different classes in the day, it means that when they go into this class, like mid-morning, they can speak to the teacher and say, well,